Hola, my lovelies. It's me, author Alexandria Infante, coming to you with a new review. So, first off, I just want to do my duty in giving music composer Ben Sound his shout outs. So, every time we upload a video, whether my channel or this channel, the music in the beginning is by music composer Ben Sound. Now, he has free, royalty free music that you can use for your trailer, your book trailers, your videos, if you're doing like little commercials or films or whatever. And basically, all you have to do is give him a shout out. Basically, what I'm doing now. So, and he will allow you to use his music. Now, there is a difference between free, royalty free, and just royalty free. Royalty free, you have to pay for. Like, you have the common license to use the music, and you have to pay for it still. It's not free. But free, royalty free means that you can use the music for free and you don't have to pay royalties on that music that you're using. So 10 years from now, if someone happens to see this video on YouTube, if it's still, excuse me, if YouTube is still alive in 10 years from now, basically I wouldn't have to pay him money for the music that's playing in this because it's a royalty thing. Just like if your books continue to sell on Amazon for the next 10 years and God forbid you pass away. Not saying that. I don't want that for me either. But if you do, you still get money on those books even though you've passed away. You may not have written another book in your life. But because of the fact that the books are still on there, out there selling, you still get royalties from that as long as they sell your book. So basically, this is royalty free, which means that Ben won't ever charge you. Now, you can also buy his music. He's that awesome. He will allow you to use it. You basically give him a shout out. But you can also purchase the music for yourself, so you don't have to do the shout out thingy. I mean, if you want to, you can say music composed by Ben Sound, but you don't have to anymore. Now, if you are using the free, royalty free, you do. So, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that Ben Sound is the composer of this music and the music that you hear for each of the videos that we play. So now, on to tonight's review. So now, I read this book. Ooh, I'm hot with Miss Ball. I just wanna want to rage against the machine. Anyway, this freaking book would have gotten a 5 stars from me because it was that good. Okay, so now let me get started. Tonight's author is, I told you guys this last night. Tonight's author is come on, Kendall. Tonight's author is author Tracy A. Bell. Now, Tracy writes historical romance, but she writes my niche. She writes interracial historical romance. Now, mine differ a little bit because most of my characters are like me. I'm multicultural, so my characters in that day would be what they would call back then, which I effing hate that word, mulata. They would be mulata because they would have had more than one race. Now, she writes black women, white men, but historical. This book slapped, y'all. I'm talking, it was so good. So now, here is the cover. It's called Civil Warriors. And here's the cover. Damn it. Man, I think it's every time I show the white. Okay, see, it's going away. Voila! Okay, that's what I have to do from now to get it to stop. But anyway, so here's the cover. It's called Civil Wars. And it's by author Tracy A. Ball. And basically, let's see, will it go away? Will it go away? Will it go away? Yes! Okay. So, now, Okay, so the main character, Georgia Ann, she is a slave. She was born into slavery, so she doesn't know anything different at the time. The book takes place. It's antebellum South, so of course, I mean, it's called Civil Warriors. So it's antebellum South, and it basically it takes place during 1850. So this is before slavery. This is when this would be the time period in which Lincoln is deciding whether he is going to do this or the idea has crossed his mind. So there's nothing definite. You're still in that period of, I mean, there is still serious slavery, going on at this time period. But there are whisperings, especially from the North, that Lincoln is thinking of doing this. So this is when the book takes place. Now, the main character, Georgia Ann, she is 7 years old at the time. And so basically, darn it, what is her last name? Sargans? Is that how it was pronounced? Darn it! I am so sorry. Sargams? I don't want to say it wrong because that's not. I can't remember if that's their last name or not. Right? Oh, there it is. Sagamore. Okay, so basically, she is owned by the Sagamore family, and so, her mother basically works for them. Her father works for them. Well, they're slaves, so they don't pretty much get a choice. And so basically, she is, pretty much tortured, not so much tortured as in beaten in that way, but she's tortured as in she thinks they're all pets by John Richard's little sister. So the main characters of this book are John Richard and William, Lucy, and their cousin Mary. Now, of course, William is named after his father, William Senior Sagamore, and then the wife Lily. And so basically, this is the I believe it's Haven, Maryland. So this book takes place in voila. Okay. Basically, it takes place on Woodbury Plantation, Hunt Valley, Maryland. And so basically, she is a slave, and at this time she's 7 years old. And so basically, Lucy, at the behest of Lucy, she's freaking forced to go and play. Whether she wants to play with her or not, Lucy pretty much forces all of these slave children to do her beck and call and to basically do what she wants. Lucy at the time is 10. Lucy is an evil little cat. Basically, like, she told her to jump in the river and get her rocks, and Georgia Ann can't swim, but she did it anyway because she told her to. She told her to go get her chicken feathers. So basically, go rob all the chickens in the coop of their feathers so she could walk across them and be a princess. So she is an evil little troglodyte troll, basically, in this book, even up into adulthood. And so one day, she forces all the little slave children to come and play with her. And so, while she's taught, William and John Richard come in the barn, and they're like, "What are you doing in here? The horses are blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "So, I don't care. You can't tell me what to do." Like a 10-year-old. And he's like, "Yes, I can. You need to get out of here, blah, 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 blah." And so, as they're arguing, Georgia Ann sneaks off. And then she hides in, with the stable. She hides in the stable with the horses, which is where she wanted to be anyway. And now she has a twin brother named Georgie. And so George is always allowed to go and see the horses in the stables and stuff. And so she never understood why she couldn't go. So she hid. And so basically, Lucy and John Richard are fighting. William is the oldest, and then finally William is like, "Go, get out of here," because the horses. And so she's like, "I'm gonna tell you." He's like, "I don't care, just get out," blah blah blah. And so she leaves, and she makes all the other children go with her. And so Georgia Ann, she hid, and John Richard like saw her out of the corner of his eye, even when he was arguing with Lucy, but he didn't say anything because he knew that Lucy is like basically a monster. So he was like, I wouldn't want to play with her either. And so basically, by Georgia Ann hiding, he pretty much like condoned it and allowed it to happen. And so finally, after all the kids leave, he's like, okay, you could come out now. And then so Georgia Ann doesn't budge. She doesn't move. And then he says it again. He's like, you can come out now. And so she comes out and she's all timid. And so he starts talking to her and he's like, why are you in here a little bit? And then that name pretty much stuck. And so they go through this crazy, tumultuous relationship, interaction. So she pretty much, he takes her under his wing from that day forward, so he wouldn't allow Lucy to hurt her or abuse her, especially after he found out all the stuff that she did to them. And so when his father calls him up to the house, he's like, first off, what are you doing? Secondly, Lucy came in and said blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, no, he's pretty much like, Lucy's evil, she's this, she's that, and she abuses the slave children, this, and that. And so his dad actually commended him because not chivalry, but the father is like very misogynistic. So he was like, yes, you have to put her in her place because she is a woman, blah, 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 blah. And so we will discuss like a lot of the language after I'm done with the review. And so basically those two grow up together pretty much, because at the time Lucy's 7, he's 14. And so she pretty much becomes like, I don't want to say like his pet, which technically she kind of was. But to everyone else she was that. But to him, she was his friend. And so he taught her how to read and write. She learned like 6, 7, 8 different languages. She was gentle bred. So basically, he bred her to be a lady, despite the fact of her color. And so, so she grows up. She becomes like this beautiful woman. And so, the problem is that he's attracted to her. And so at the time, she's 17. So that would be what? 7, 7 is 17, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he would be like 24. Yeah, he'd be like 24, 25. And so, so basically she's 17 and he starts to see her differently. And that's a problem for him because of the fact that regardless of the fact, she is still a black woman. And so, he wrestles with himself. And so, so basically she is the talk of the town because it's pretty much like every man that she meets, he's enamored with her. That's not her fault that she's beautiful, that she's a beautiful black woman. And so basically all of these men become enamored with her. And so then this one man shows up, Luke Halifax. And he basically is a dog, a scoundrel, a piece of crap. And so he wants her. And so at that night, she was going to dinner with John Richard. And so in the dinner that they had together, he decided to act on what he felt for her. But the whole problem is that even though he had all these feelings for her, he denied them, and he was like, no, to himself. He was having like this internal battle with himself because she's she's this, she's that, but I have feelings for her, blah, 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 blah. And so then they like trade a couple of kisses or whatever, and then William and then this man, Mr. Halifax, like interrupt their dinner. And so he's basically when Lucy leaves to go, when Georgia leaves to go and get the champagne that John Richard asked her to go and get, because the dude Luke was like leering at her and saying these things that were like pretty much sexual innuendos. And so he tells her to go and get the champagne. And then so he's like, yeah. And then when she leaves, he's like, yeah, name your price. I'll pay it for her just so I can have her. And so William is like, are you, pretty much in today's language, he would be like, are you effing kidding me? And then John is like, what? And then he's like, because to them, she's been in their life for like forever, and she is their best friend. And then you find out this night that William is actually in love with her as well. So it's between these two brothers, and so she so she leaves, and then what? Freaking John basically bashes him over the head with a wine bottle and is like, no, you will never touch her. And so basically he has to have stitches. The father is like, what the hell did you do? And he's like, oh, well, he disrespected me, this and this and this. And then so they're having this whole whatever, and then basically they go through this. He decides to take her home, and then instead of like taking her home, they go like spend the night in the barn, but they don't do anything. And so he's having this conversation with himself that he should put her away from him. He should do this, he should do that. But he was going to take advantage of this one night. And so he didn't sleep with her because he felt like he shouldn't sully her. But he spent the night with her. And so William was so upset by this that he goes out and he gets drunk and basically winds up sleeping on the bar floor. And then so he rides through in the morning and he sees them coming out of the barn. So he automatically thinks like they had relations. Well, what John does is John tells her that they can't be friends anymore. Basically, they can be, because she had said one point that they were going to get married, because she wasn't understanding, because of the fact of the ways that she was raised, she wasn't understanding that that's not possible, because he's a white man, she's a black woman. And so when she started saying all these things like that, he was like, no, this can't happen, blah, 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 blah. And so she's just like, she's like, well, it has to, you know, this. And he's like, no, it can't happen. So what he does is he puts her away from him and he sends her to the fields to work the fields. And so she's just like, I don't understand what happened. What did I do? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, nothing. Just don't talk to me anymore. Don't come around me. Blah, blah, blah. That's your workstation from now on. So basically, to assuage his guilt, and the way that, because of the fact that he was in love with her, and him being a white man who needed to basically do what society said, he sent her to work in the fields. And so basically, when William found out, William was like, pretty much like, are you effing kidding me? And so they have it out. And John is like, why do you care? And then so finally William's like, because I love her. And he was like, and the dad was just like, you what? That's not possible. Blah, 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 blah. And so he's like, I love her. And if I could, I would marry her. Blah, blah, blah. He says all this stuff. And then like the next day he goes to the fields and like he starts to visit her. They start to have conversations while John is just like, he threw her away pretty much to me. And then, so she was supposed to go to this big, huge ball because his cousin Mary she's an invalid, and so she's in a wheelchair. And so what Georgia does is Georgia pretty much does her dance card for her. And so the suitors that want to, court Mary, they just basically dance with Georgia. And so basically, he's like, yeah, you're going to the ball with me, blah, 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 blah. He declares his love for her. He asks her to marry him. All of this stuff. Because he does not care. And so, basically, all of this crap happens. Then, because of the fact that her sister ran away. And so in that time period, the sister goes missing and no one can find her. And so they said she ran away. And so they were trying to get the information from George. And it was like, where'd your sister go? Blah, blah, blah. We know you know. And like some of the men, the workermen or the foremen were like, yeah, that's your sister. You have to have known where she went. And so basically they're saying all these things. And she's just like, I don't have a clue where she's gone. Anyway, so he pretty much puts her away from him, and then William goes, takes her to the ball. She dances. She hasn't seen Richard in like forever, pretty much. He comes into the ball. They make a scene because they're so love and blah, 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 blah. And he realized, oh my God, I was... anyway, let me finish. And so basically, then it becomes scandalous, and the host and the hostess are like, how could you bring that, you know what, in my house, and you disgrace us all, blah, 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 blah. And so William is like, Georgia Ann and I are leaving. And so, basically, they're accusing John. They're like, you were disgraceful, and you did that in front of my guests, and blah, 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 you're going to pay for my party. And he was like, I didn't. And he goes, I didn't bring her here. William did. And then, so basically, so anyway, after that, they basically, William, like I said, the sister runs away. So they want the information from Georgia. Georgia's like, I don't know. And then, so William is like, if you told me in private, would that be more comfortable for you? And so she says yes. And then William takes her off, and then William professes all the love that he has for her. I loved William. And that basically he wanted to marry her and all of this stuff. And so she agrees. She agrees to, sorry, I hear like dogs, some little dog outside or something. Anyway, sorry. She agrees, and then they don't go back to like the sun is gone, the sun is down, and basically the dad is like, I hope it was worth it or something like that. And so basically, they set Georgia Ann up, the two foreman dudes. They set her up. She winds up getting basically beaten because they think she's lying. They said she stole. The father wants to get rid of her because he feels like the entire commotion in his household, his two brothers his two sons pitted against each other is Georgia's fault. Georgia can't help what she look like. And so basically that they are buffoons. And so everyone blames her. And so basically when they trump up all these charges on Georgia, the father doesn't deny it. He's like, well, what would happen? And then the one henchman, Jake, is like, oh, well, just leave it to us. And so they basically strip her backless and they whip her, saying that she knows where. And so basically they pinned William. It took like 5 dudes to hold William. And so basically, because he's trying to get to Georgia, and they gave her like 16 lashes. And so basically when the guy drew back the whip to hit her for like the 17th time, John Richards showed up and he shot him through the hand. So basically now they hate him. They have animosity toward him. And so after that, everything sort of like goes to pot. And so she, I'm just going to leave it at that. She goes through so much. She goes on so many life journeys. She goes through so many things. And what I loved the most about this book was the fact that, she made a very desirable, beautiful black woman be basically coveted by men over. No matter where this girl went, she was that beautiful in spirit and soul that these men fought over her, regardless. Even to 2 warrior, Indian braves or Native American braves fought over her. And so basically, because and it wasn't so much of her beauty, it had to do with the spirit and the type of person that she was. And so I was going to give this book a 5 stars. I really was. If I could have gave it higher than a 5 stars, I would have. And then I got to the end, and I was very upset. I just didn't know what to do. I was so angry because I felt like he put her away. I won't say anything. I'm not going to name names, but he put her away. After everything she went through, he put her away. He was embarrassed to her. He would not confess his love, which his brother did. I'm sorry, I gotta put this part out there because I was very upset. He did not profess his love for her. He pretty much threw her to the dogs the minute he sent her to work in the fields. And then she did what she did. I could not believe that. I mean, I could understand going back to help him. But to do what she did, that pissed me off so much. The only thing that comforted me was the fact that William had a wife. And so, this is one of those books that pisses you off, but you still love it regardless. And I'm so mad. But she gets a 4.5 stars for this book, because this book was amazing. It was that good. It took you through ups and downs and highs and lows and angry one minute and laughing the next. And I mean, this was an amazing book, and it was historical romance, and so that just made it. And she used the that was beautiful. That was beautiful. She used the vernacular of the time period, because so many freaking times I see historical romances that are written in up to date in today's language, and that, as a reader, that annoys me, and I won't read your book. I'm sorry. I just won't, because it took me, I write historical romance too. I mean, I'm sure I've told you guys this. I'm gonna tell you again. I write historical romance as well. I write multicultural historical romance. I have pirates, I have Vikings, I have Russian princes, I have ship merchants, I have native princes, I have dukes, I have every kind of, thing that you could think of. Right now, I'm about to do another Viking one. And a ninja one. I have a ninja shogun warrior one that I'm like 20 pages from finishing, that I've been lazy and I need to finish it, because I have a reader who is literally, if this woman ever sees me, she is going to choke me out, because she has been diligently waiting for this book for 3 years. And it's like every time I go to write this book, I'm feeling like I can't do the ending justice, so I procrastinate and I put it off. But anyway, my point is, and I make it a point to use the vernacular, because it's a historical romance. You are supposed to not only have history, but you are supposed to use the vernacular as well. And there are some, oh my gosh, the way in which they spoke, the measure of a man. Come on, you can't get any more amazing than that sentence. I mean that phrase, just that declaration, the measure of a man. What is the measure of just the way, oh my gosh. Like Lincoln. Lincoln was I feel like one of the greatest orators as well. And so that's history. And so when I find a historical romance that has that in it, and then an interracial one at that, which makes me be able to step myself into that character as well and feel, because I am a woman of color, and to know that I had worth, I had value, that people, not the masses, thought that people like me were scum, or we were ignorant, or we were unintelligent, but the fact that we were seen as human beings and persons. And I felt like she did that, even with the bad, with the bad that comes along with writing antebellum, which is why I have antebellum books, but I try to stay away from it, because of the fact that it is very heartbreaking. Because I read this book and I love this book, but there were times like the whipping scene that pissed me off. Just to be honest, it pissed me off, because ancestors, people of my color have gone through this for 400 years. They went through it. And so basically, when I read scenes like this, is why I can't go and watch a movie like 7 Years a Slave, or Underground, or those type of movies. I can't watch that, because they make me militant. I want to go shoot people. I want to kill people. So I don't watch that. I can't. If I watch one of those movies, my kids are just like, oh God, what did mom watch? What did mom watch? Because I hear her in her room. So yeah, I don't I try not to watch those types of films because they just piss me off. They make me angry. Because I know that I'm supposed to see the difference, and I'm supposed to see where we are now as people of color. Because I'm Afro-Latina, which means that I have African roots as well. Um, and so I know as a people, we are most times we're trying to be taught to move past it, to look over it, to this and that. But no, that S still hurts. That S, it still pisses me off. And so it makes me want to be militant, for all of my Afro Latinas too. Because, I mean, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, all of these places have brown, black people there as well. And so we weren't treated, people think because you are Afro-Latina that wherever you come from in the world, you were treated with respect. No, it's just as bad in Afro-Latina. The lighter you are, the whiter you are, the better you assimilate into society. So basically, I love the fact that even though it's harsh and it pisses me off, she didn't mince words. She put it in there, which is what I do as well, because you can't negate it and you can't look over. We don't do it to try to make, Caucasian people feel hurt or embarrassed or whatever. No, it's a part of history. And I think if more people spoke about it, more people talked about it, it's like, I noticed that when you do bring it up, Caucasian people always, well, I didn't. It's like, no one's saying you did. No one is accusing you of having slaves. No one is accusing you of oppressing anyone. But the point is, it happened. Whether you want to accept that, whether you want to see that or not, it happened. People of color, of all nations, Chinese, Japanese, black, Hispanic, Latino, we're all oppressed. Native American people, we're all oppressed. And no one's trying to throw it in your face. But it happened. And you need to understand and you need to recognize. And that's what I'm saying. And so books like this, I would encourage anyone, especially white people, to read them. Because then it gives you an idea of how people of color have suffered and how we truly feel inside sometimes. So, I give her props. This book gets a 4.5 stars. I would have gave you a 5, Miss Ball. But you know what you did. You know what you did. That was just upsetting to me. He put her away. He didn't deserve her. No. No. That's what I was doing. I was in the kitchen making, my daughter wanted all kinds of wings for dinner. She wanted Wingstop. And I was like, yeah, no. I'm not paying that price. I'm sorry. Because she wanted like the big, huge bucket. And so I was like, your parents are chef. I will make you some Wingstop. And so basically, I made her barbecue, buffalo, and lemon and pepper garlic. And so basically, while I was doing that, I was finishing her book. And I was in the kitchen just like, no! No! I'm sure my neighbors thought I was crazy. Which they probably do right now. But anyway, so like I said, this book is amazing. It's amazing. I give her a 4.5 stars for this book. Because the ending, I'm sorry, I didn't want that to happen. And so that basically brought my score down. Because I just felt like he didn't deserve her. He didn't. She was too beautiful. She was an amazing person. She had been through so much. And I don't care about a childhood love. He ruined that love. He tainted it. The minute he sent her to work in those fields. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't like him. I can't like him anymore. I did. I liked him from the beginning. I was like, oh. And then when he did what he did, I was like, this And William became my hero. He became my hero. And so, I'm thinking, is there a second book with Abigail and William? Because that's who he married. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Abigail the little girl that was dressed in the Confederate Union suit? If that's true, leave me a message down there, Miss Ball, because I'm hoping Like, even though I didn't like how the ending ended or how it ended, I'm hoping that's true, and I'm hoping you write a book 2 to that if you don't already have one, because that is a story that should be told as well. I really, really like that. It kind of reminded me of one of my books. Not always trying to plug myself, but it just did. It reminded me of a book that I have called Shards of Grey, because William chases Pepper all over the freaking country, and that is one of the places that they pretty much end up in is Boston, because Boston was a free slave state. And so I love how she incorporated Frederick Douglass, basically all of the great abolitionists. I like how she put that in there too. And so basically I have one of the characters in that series, her name is Abigail too, Abigail Morningstar, so that's really funny. But anyway, so I really love this book. It gets a 4.5 stars. You know why. And that's pretty much it. You guys need to go out and pick up this book. I'm telling you, it is so good. If you love historical, if you love interracial romance, black women, white men, and you like historical romance, you will love this, because of the fact that she integrated it very well. And this book deserves a 4.5 stars. It deserves 5, but you know why you're not getting a 5. But I'm telling you, you will probably give it a 5. Any of you readers out there will. But I don't know. Maybe that was the author in me. I don't know. But I couldn't accept that ending. I can't. No. So, she gets a 4.5 stars. And here is the book once again. It's called Civil Warriors. And it is by author Tracy A. Ball. And girl, you write that second book, you better send it to me. I'm not playing. I really want to read that book if you write it. And please, please, please feel free to send us any of your books. If you are a historical romance writer out there, please. I mean, I love paranormal romance. Yes, I do. I am a paranormal romance freak. If you have IR paranormal, please, please, please send that to me as well. Black women, white men, Asian women, black men, whatever. I don't care. As long as it's interracial, which is why I love... It's pretty much why we have 3 days of it, because I love IR. I mean, I read mainstream as well. I love some good mainstream books too. But I'm an IR lover. My ex was white. So, basically, I'm very, very attracted to Caucasian men, so this is what I read. Well, sexy, handsome men, regardless. I don't care what race you are. just as long as you're handsome. No. Like, ass freaking hot. No. Anyway, so, as I was saying, so I send it in, please. Please. I would love to get some mysteries, to get some IR paranormal, because we get the contemporary on the regular. We get that constantly. And then it's easy to find, it's easy for Jen to find freebies on Amazon. But the crazy thing is no one gives away I can't find one free paranormal romance that's IR or black women, white men. Y'all sisters out there is stingy. So basically I don't know, maybe Jen has found some, but the contemporary, it's there. So I would love to get more IR. I would love to get some more YA authors. And then fiction, we have a gang of fiction. We still have fiction authors to read, basically, which will be coming up this week. So tomorrow we will be reading... Just a second. We will be reading author. She isn't on our list. Miss Ball, she is on our list now. But this author isn't on our list. So if anyone knows her, please let her know that we will be reading her book. It's called Broderick, a dark romance with the notorious Scots, the Campbell brothers. And it's by author T.C. Clarke. It says a sexy Scot and a beauty on the run. What will go wrong? Now, I love Scottish books. I hope she puts some Scots accent in there, you know, because I love it. I write my werewolves in my series. They're actually Scottish. So I actually write in the series, I write the British slang, the Scottish slang, because I just feel like it makes the book more authentic. So tomorrow's read will be T.C. Clarke, Broderick, a dark romance with the notorious Scot. And here is the cover. So if anyone knows Miss Clarke, let her know that we are going to review her book tomorrow. And as far as tonight's author, Miss Ball, you did good, girl. You did good. Once again, please go out and pick up this book if you are a interracial historical romance lover. You need to get this book. Once again, it's called Civil Warriors, and it's by author Tracy A. Ball. Go get this book. Seriously. And if you like historical romance, make sure you check out my channel as well, because I love writing historical romance. You can find Viking kings, like I said, Russian princes, British dukes, girls who dress as boys to escape, which is very cute because she had a scene like that in her book as well. Ms. Ball did. I have a whole book where she dresses like a boy to get away. It's the first historical romance book I ever wrote. I wrote it way back in, it was my first book, my first historical out. So 2011, I believe it was. 2011, 2012 was when it came out. But it's called A Lad's Trousers, and basically she does the same thing. She dresses as a boy because a Union soldier actually beat her and tried to have his way with her, and she accidentally kills him. So she has to get a ghost. And so she actually dresses as a boy. She steals the town drunk's clothes. She dresses as a boy, and then the ship's first mate thinks that she's a boy and offers her a job as a cabin boy. So, if you like historical romance, please make sure you pop over to my channel and check out my historical romance as well. Because I can't review my own. That's just dirty and cheesy. I mean, I probably could, but that's just, no, I'm sorry. So, that's pretty much it. And I will see you guys tomorrow with Miss Clarke's review. Thanks bunches. Peace and love.